Hey, 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 and welcome back to my channel. Hi, what book are we reviewing today? Well, today we're actually going to talk about a book that I've been reading for a very long time because she thick. So this book is called When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. At first, I just have to say that like the artwork, it's very, very nice. I always appreciate that. She has, like at the beginning of every chapter, you have little art pieces, and it's very, very nice. So let's go ahead and read the back of the book, and then we will get to talking about the book itself. As an assassin for the rebellion group, hang on. Fear du ath. Fear du ath. According to the pronunciation guide, which we'll get to in a minute. As an assassin for the rebellion group Fear du ath, Rave's job is to complete, I'm probably saying her name wrong too, is to complete orders and never get caught. When a rival bounty hunter turns her world upside down, blood spills, hearts break, and Rave finds herself imprisoned by the Guild of Nobles, a group of powerful fae who turn her into a political statement. Crushed by the loss of his great love, Con Vagor took the head of a king and donned his melted crown. Now on a tireless quest to quell the never-ebbing ache in his chest, a clue lures him into the capital's high-security prison where he stumbles upon the imprisoned Rave. Echoes of the past race between them. There's more to their story than meets the eye, but some truths are too poisonous to swallow. So, okay. First thing about this book that I super appreciate, and I've noticed other people pointing out too, is that like I said, the artwork is just absolutely fantastic. But there's, let's see, about the book. This book contains explicit content and dark elements that may be triggering for some. For full list of warnings, please turn to the last page. That's a little weird to me, but they do have their trigger warnings here. Trigger warnings are blood and gore, death and violence, sexually explicit, torture, implied threat of sexual assault or sexual predator, explicit language, cruelty toward a creature or abuse, abduction of an adult, implied off-page and post-recounting, death in childbirth, implied off-page, abduction or trafficking of minors, implied off-page, miscarriage, implied for a secondary character, off-page. So those are the trigger warnings, or as some of us like to call them, a menu, right? So then she includes a glossary. So this includes age and time explained. So they go into the time that she refers to, like stone, aurora cycle, eon, phase, slumber. A day is like a day. A slumber is nighttime. A phase, it says 1,000 cycles, basically akin to a year. Let's see. Eon, what am I looking for? Aurora rise is morning, aurora fall is evening. Like there's little things like that. And then we have terms. So then you have like the first term is the Aether Stone, and it tells you a little bit about it. And then you have Erythrea, capital of the shade. And it's alphabetical. So these are terms that you're going to hear throughout the book. And this is a real quick, easy glossary for you to kind of find them and remember what they are if you forget, because you will. And then let's see. Are we still on terms? And then we have creatures, beings, like they have an elding bird, a mythical bird-like creature born from ashes and flames. And then they have like a fae, the more common folk in this world. They aren't immortal, but they have exceptionally long lifespans. And then it'll give like a physical description of each animal, so it makes it easier for you, or each creature or whatever. So it makes it easier for you to visualize it. And then we have characters. So these are not every character in the book is listed up here, but a lot of the main characters, I mean, all of the main characters are, and there are some secondary characters. I was kind of confused because there was one character, and I can't think of who it was now, but I was kind of confused as to why they weren't listed up there, because I was like, aren't they kind of important? But anyway, yeah, you have a full list of like the important characters that they want you to know, characters that come up more than once. And then you have the pronunciation guide. So the Fur du Ath, it's really handy. It tells you like how to say it. Let's see. Rave, RAY-VV, so rave. And then Convagor, yeah, I said that correctly. Good for me. But then, again, not all of the names or the words, terms in this book are in here, but the important ones are. You know, the ones that you're going to read, like, repeatedly, the ones that are, I guess, important to the story. And it says, for those who feel small and quiet, spread those wings and roar. You know, this book has, I'm going to check my handy dandy thing. It was published in 2024. It has a prologue, 89 chapters, and 1 epilogue with 690 pages. I started this at the end of October, and I finished this about middle of December. So it's taken me a minute to get to a point where I can actually do a video review. We've had, just with the holiday season, it's just a lot going on, right? Trying to get ahead on videos, or trying to, you know, get the house clean and get decorations done and get presents done, and you still have all your regular stuff, you know, your regular cleaning, your regular meals, your all of this stuff, and figuring all of that out. And it can be very stressful and very overwhelming. And so sometimes, instead of doing things that you could be doing to check them off your list, you just take a minute and just breathe and relax and try to calm yourself down. So I apologize for taking a minute to get this this review done, but it helps me sometimes to collect my thoughts. Okay, first of all, I'm just going to go ahead and say this. I rated this book a 4 out of 5 stars or a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I loved this book. It was hard to get through at times just because it's so thick. It's so, look at, she's thick. She's hard to hold, okay? When you're reading like this and holding, like, it's hard to hold this book, okay? But I will say, one of the things, too, is that sometimes you have chapters, like chapter 89. That's not a good example. Not all the chapters are numbered. So in between chapters, you get, of course, I can find one right then, but then as soon as I go looking for one. Okay, here's one. So they're diary entries. So these do count as chapters even though they're not marked. So like the chapter before this was it chapter 80? Yeah, chapter 80. And then the chapter after this would be 82 because the diary entry would be 81. So I was going to say, it does have a lot of chapters, but some of them are like these diary entries, which are like a page, half a page, 2 page, like they can be very, very short. There's a couple that are a little bit longer, but overall it's, you know, not all the chapters are extremely wordy and like 10 pages long. So don't be afraid. This is a very, very good romance novel. I absolutely enjoyed this. I cannot wait to listen to it on Audible with Jason. We listen to books when he's off. We listen to books before bed, or at least I do. He usually falls asleep, but I like listening because there's something about reading it that you get, but then there's something about listening to it where you can just kind of close your eyes and fall into the world and fall into the, you know, all the surrounding. You could just fall completely into the world and get enveloped with the characters and the plot and the storyline and all of these things. This book has so many twists and turns, and I don't like how it ended. First of all, I do not like how it ended. It ended on a cliffhanger, and then this part I really, really like. The very back of the book says to be continued, meaning obviously that there's going to be another book in the series, but it does say, is it after the trigger warnings or before the trigger warnings? Here it is. Look for the next novel in the Moonfall series coming fall 2025. So I super appreciate being introduced to this book by the official Stephen Walker on Instagram, and I highly doubt he'll ever see this, but thanks so much, Stephen. Now I've read this whole book and I've gotten invested, and I have to wait a whole year to get things answered and fix things. I try to be vague in my video reviews, but yeah, so the next book isn't coming out until next fall. This book is absolutely, this is a very, very slow burn book, okay? You're going to get to about the middle before things really start to happen. Now, things happen throughout the whole book, right? And things are happening, and you think it's kind of like going one way, like you're going down a road, and then all of a sudden it kind of like goes up and then around and then up, and like it just twists and turns. Twists and turns. And some of them you see coming and some of them you don't. I'm pretty good with like true crime, not true crime, but like, you know, murder mystery novels, or even some horror fiction, you know, when you're trying to figure out whodunit novels. I can be pretty good about putting clues together or putting things together in my mind. I've read so many of them that some of them, I don't want to say they're cliche, but you can really get to where you can predict, like, this person did it, or that person did it, or, you know, this person's behind it, or that person's behind it. This book is a very wild ride, even though it's kind of, it's a wild ride, but it's also a slow ride, you know? It's a very, very slow burn. There is some mild sexuality. There's a lot of violence, and it's very graphic at times. Very, very graphic. I did read the trigger warnings for you. If any of those things trigger you, I would caution you against reading this book. I have not gone through and like marked every area where a trigger warning is. I'm sure somebody has. So if you look that up, I'm sure somebody has, you know, marked like each page and where they are. To me, it wasn't. I've read books like this before. It is triggering, but it's not, you know, I feel like the characters that do bad things, you get angry and you want to do things to them. You want to hurt them. You know, you want to jump in the book and you want to avenge people, or you want to, you know, you want to set things right. And I feel like that's just normal though. But I really loved this book. Would I read it again? Yes, absolutely. I would read this 4 or 5 times more, okay? In fact, I may have to, in order to fully understand everything and to fully like get a grasp of the world. I will say that I was looking on Instagram, because I do that because I'm a book talk girly on Instagram. I'm a bookstagram girly, but like I like the book talks. Anyway, I'm not on TikTok, but I'm on Instagram. Anyway, that's something that one reviewer said, and I can't remember who said it, but she said that when the moon hatched, if you've read Fourth Wing, the Fourth Wing series, there's two books in there? 2 books? If you read the book The Fourth Wing by whoever it's by, because I didn't write that down, it's a very action-packed book. You know, things are happening left and right, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with everything, right? It's like an action movie, right? Things are they're happening at more of like a regular pace. This book is more of like that book, or yeah, The Fourth Wing is more like, it's like a pop song, and this book is like an opera, okay? It's very, very slow. It's very intense at times. I can't say enough about it. I really, really enjoyed this book, and I do highly recommend. If you have read A Kotar, if you have read Fourth Wing, if you've read Butcher and Blackbird, which is not fantasy necessarily, it's just a horror fiction novel, or humor, comedy fiction, whatever it is, you're gonna like this book. There's enough romance to keep you glued if you like romance. There's a lot of action. I will say some of the violence does get pretty graphic and pretty gory. She's very descriptive, which I don't hate. That's not something that bothers me. If that bothers you, this might be something that you read with caution. You know, I wouldn't say don't read it, but I would just read with caution, you know. I feel like the character development, the main character that you see in the beginning of the book, number one, the main character isn't who you think it is. And you go through, like, most of the book thinking that things are one way, and you're, like, waiting for this person to show up, and then, you know, things are revealed, and you're like, it's surprising. This book is it's almost like a soap opera, honestly. But in the absolute best way possible. And I have never read a book like this before with a plot like this. And I'm not saying there's not other books out there like this. And if you've read this book, I think that if you know, you know. And I don't want to say it, but I feel like the title is very, very... As you're reading the book, you're going to think about the title. You're going to kind of figure out what that means, even though it's not implied, it's not implicitly stated. But I really like the world that this was created. And I love the ACOTAR books. I feel like those books are really good. Those are really good romance, like romantasy. It's more of, you know, romantasy rather than fantasy. But this book is absolutely amazing. It's incredible. And as thick as she is, I saw on Amazon, I think she's only like $10 or $12. So there's that. But if you get the hardcover, she's not as thick. I have seen the hardcover copies, and they are definitely not as thick as the paperback. But I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, character development is good. The plot is good. The storyline is absolutely incredible. The writing can be better in some places. You know, when authors create fantasies and they create worlds and characters and, you know, places, and they create all of this in their own head, and they name it whatever they name it. Like, she even invented new terms for time. It can be kind of confusing. And I will say it was very confusing. And, you know, until you get to where you're really familiar with it, you know, I was flipping back to the front. The glossary and the things in the front, those are so helpful. Those are so incredibly helpful. Listen, if you read this book, I was going to go and I try to read all of them and kind of learn, you know, what the characters are and who they relate to and stuff like that. But there's so many, you can't memorize them. You just can't. You won't remember. So I would suggest kind of skimming the front pages, the glossary, the terms, the characters, all that stuff. And then just jumping in and starting to read it. And then if you come upon a term, you can always, a term, character, or whatever, you can look in the front, see if it's in there, and get that kind of explained a little bit for you. I feel like that's very helpful, and it keeps you on track with the story. And I don't feel like that took away from the story, okay? It is complex. It's super, super complex. I think this is very, very well written. Definitely movie worthy at some point. I don't know about a TV show, because I don't think a TV show would do it justice, but I think more of like a movie series. This reminds me, I don't want to say it reminds me a lot of Twilight, but it's kind of like Twilight made a great movie, but I don't know about a TV series, right? So this is kind of along the same line of thought for me. But I really, really enjoyed this. I rated it 4 to 4.5 out of 5 stars. It took me almost 2 months to read it. She thick. When you're only reading at night, like sometimes I would read during the day, but I started reading it at the end of October when I was still doing Halloween, and then I had fall videos that I was planning and getting ready for the holidays and getting all of that stuff done, and it just didn't happen. So I was just reading at night. But excellent novel. Sarah A. Parker. I don't know what it is about authors with the name Sarah, but you freaking killed it with this book. Like, I can't wait for the next one. I would order it right now. Is it on pre-order? Because if it is, If it is, message me on Instagram. Send me the link over on the Instagram. But let me know if you have read this book and what your thoughts were, if you liked it, if you didn't like it. I know probably a lot of you maybe have DNR'd it. You know, you started it, you didn't finish it because it got too complex and you just didn't have time or whatever. I definitely think it's worth a try. I have DNR'd books before, but what I do is if I start to read it and I'm just not into it, I put it down and pick up something else. And I know that at some point I'm going to go back to that book and I'll pick it up and I will finish it, right? Because if you can't read it right now, that's okay. Just pick up something else. You can come back to it and read it later. So this would be a great book to read next summer of 2025, because the next book is coming out in fall 2025. So you can read this book, and if it takes you 3 months, takes you all summer to read, then by the time you get done with it, you're just reeling from this book, and then the next one's going to come out. And watch, it'll be like really, really thin. But very, very good. It's not like ACOTAR and it's not like Fourth Wing. There are dragons, there are elements there. It's kind of a combination of both. It's got like the fierceness of Fourth Wing with more of the romance of ACOTAR, the romance in the storyline. With the lovable characters of ACOTAR, not Fourth Wing. Not that Fourth Wing aren't, but I feel like Fourth Wing is more, you know, they fight a lot. They're more like competitive. They're more athletic. They're not, you know, spending time just like sitting together on the couch or whatever. You know, they spend time fighting and training and doing that kind of thing. So it's a little bit, you know, faster paced. But I really enjoyed this. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I will, of course, include a list in the description box of everything that I used for my makeup today and a link for the book. If I can, I will find one for paperback and one for the hardcover. I think there's a special edition out too with it has like the embossing on the pages. It's very, very beautiful. Very beautiful. I can't say enough about this book. I'll include everything that I used on my face and a link for the book in the description box below. They will be affiliate links will be with them. Most of the products, if I can find them, that do pay me if you use them to purchase anything. But it's a great way to support my channel, support me, support my kid, help me to support my kid. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It's just, I really, really super appreciate it. Right now is obviously, I believe you get higher commission on Amazon. I'm not completely sure, but I still need a couple of purchases in order to get my, to become like a real affiliate or whatever, to keep my affiliate status. So please do go on there. If you shop on Amazon, just click my link and then make your purchase. Like you don't have to purchase whatever the link is for. You know, you could click on a link for an eye pencil and then go buy like a drill or buy toilet paper, and not even add, you know, the makeup product to your cart, and I'll still get the commission for whatever you purchased. And it's pretty cool, you know. I think that's a really great way for people like me who can't work a traditional job to be able to stay at home with their kids. So yeah. Let me know all the things in the comments below. Don't forget to go follow me over on the Instagram. Like this video if you like this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring that bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a new video, because you never know what kind of content is going to pop up over here on this channel. I thank you all so much for watching. I love you all very, very much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!